AITA for trying to help my parents become millionaires and give them a better life? I, 29 female, am a real estate agent who specializes in flipping houses. I work hard, I take calculated risks, and I've built a career I'm proud of. I've closed deals in the high six figures, I've traveled internationally, and I'm on track to become a millionaire in the next few years. But my family? They've never seen things like I do. They're the type of people who think being comfortable is enough. They value family first, tradition, and roots over any kind of ambition. I used to think it was humble. Now I just see it as complacent. We weren't poor. In fact, we lived in what most people in our small town would call a nice home, the one my great-great-grandparents built themselves. My parents both worked 9-to-5 jobs, we always had food, the bills were paid, and they genuinely seemed content. Vacations? Always the same. A week camping by the lake, 2 hours away. Birthdays? A home-cooked dinner and a cake from scratch. Christmas? Gifts were practical, never flashy. My friends would get the newest phones, and I'd get something like a sturdy winter coat that will last you years. They saw that as love. I saw it as settling. Even as a teenager, I wanted more. Not just more money, more experiences, more opportunities, more life than our small town could offer. The college blow-up. When I was 18, I got accepted to a prestigious college 3 states away with one of the best business and real estate programs in the country. I was thrilled. My parents, however, sat me down one night at the dinner table. My brother Daniel, then 20, was there too. "Mom, we've been talking, and we think it's best if you stay here for school. The local university is great, and you'd be close to home if you ever needed help." Me: "I don't need help. I want to do this on my own." Dad: "It's not about doing it alone. It's about having a support system. Out there, you won't have family. If something goes wrong..." Me: "If something goes wrong, I'll figure it out. That's what successful people do." Daniel: "You think you're better than everyone here, don't you?" Me: "I think I don't want to get stuck here being comfortable instead of successful. There's a difference." Mom: "You think we're not successful?" Me: "You're fine, but you could have done more. You chose small." That's when my dad slammed his hand on the table. Dad: "You think chasing money is the only way to live. We built this life with our hands and we're proud of it. You're not better than us because you want to run off to some city." Me: "I'm not better because I want to leave. I'm better because I'm not afraid to do it." Daniel muttered something about me thinking money is God. My mom's eyes were wet. I pushed my chair back, grabbed my bag, and left. They didn't come to drop me off at college. Calls became less frequent. By my sophomore year, we weren't speaking at all. 6 years later, I'm researching luxury properties in my old hometown for a potential flip. I see a listing 2 streets over from my parents' house. Smaller, fewer updates, and it's going for $4.95 million. That's when it clicked. Their house, which is larger and better maintained, has to be worth at least that, probably more. Instantly, I saw the potential. If I could list that house and sell it for top dollar, they could walk away with millions. They could travel, live in luxury, and I'd get a commission that could push me right into millionaire status. Win-win. I didn't want to just blurt it out. I figured I'd ease in. I sent a friendly email saying I wanted to reconnect, mentioned I'd be in town for work, and suggested coffee. When we met, it was awkward. My parents were polite but guarded. Daniel was there too, arms crossed most of the time. I talked about my career, my travels, the deals I'd closed. They asked a few questions, but there was this undercurrent of distance. About 20 minutes later, I pulled out my tablet. "You know the Johnson place down the street? Listed for just under $5 million. Yours is bigger, better kept, you could get at least that. My mom, we're not selling. Me, just hear me out. If I list it, I can get you multiple offers fast. You could retire now. You could buy a penthouse, a beach house, whatever you want. Dad, this house has been in our family for generations. It's not just a property. Me, it's exactly a property, a very valuable one. You're sitting on millions and doing nothing with it. Daniel, because not everything's about squeezing every cent out of life. They shut me down, so I dropped it for the day. Multiple pitches, rising tension. Over the next few weeks, I tried again. Sent them comps, market trends, buyer profiles. Called to check in, but always worked the house into the conversation. One time I told them about a retired couple who sold their old home, moved to Italy, and were living their dream. My mom, our dream is here. Another time I said they could use the money to travel the world. Dad, we've seen the world we want to see. Daniel finally texted me, stop trying to sell the house. It's not happening. I ignored him. I showed up one afternoon, unannounced, with a printed market analysis. I laid it out on the kitchen table. Me, look, the market is hot right now. I could have this place sold in 60 days. You'd be free. My mom, we're free. This house is part of us. It's where we raised you and Daniel, where your grandparents lived, where your great-great-grandparents worked themselves to the bone to build it. Me, so what? You can't live in nostalgia forever. It's wood and bricks. You could have more. Dad, we have enough. Enough is enough. Daniel, you don't get it, V. You never have. That one set me off. Me, you're right. I don't get why anyone would sit on millions and choose to rot instead. I was right about you years ago. You're too comfortable being mediocre. I don't need you to make my first million. I'll do it myself. I grabbed my analysis, stormed out, and slammed the door hard enough to make the old picture frames rattle. Now Daniel is calling me a vulture. My parents told me not to come back for a while. Mutual friends are split. Some think I was offering them a gift. Others think I was out for myself. From where I stand, they're clinging to a pile of money because of sentimentality. AITA? Top comments. You are an ass. You reconnected because you saw dollar signs, not because you missed them. They've told you no multiple times. At that point, it's harassment. Your version of a better life isn't the only valid one. The fact that your brother knew exactly what you were doing says a lot. Update. 3 weeks later. Well, the cooling off period my parents wanted has turned into a total freeze-out. I texted my mom once after the fight. Sorry things got heated, but I still think selling is the right call. She didn't respond. Instead, Daniel replied, "You're not sorry. You just want the house sold." I said, "Because it would change all of our lives for the better." To which he had the nerve to say, "It would change your life the most. That's the difference." Like, no kidding, it would change my life, but it would change theirs too. They could be retired on a yacht in the Mediterranean instead of fixing squeaky floorboards and watering the same flower beds that they've had since before I was born. The hypocrisy here is wild. They're acting like I'm some kind of vulture circling a corpse, but I'm literally offering them to make them millionaires. I know exactly how to stage that house to attract high-end buyers,
how to market it as a rare generational property, how to get it into the right luxury listing circles. Without me, they wouldn't even know their home is worth that much. You'd think they'd be grateful I was even thinking about them at all after they basically abandoned me when I left for college. But no, instead, I'm the bad guy for daring to challenge their precious tradition. And speaking of tradition, let's call it what it is. Stubbornness disguised as virtue. This whole keeping it in the family thing is just an excuse to stay in their comfort zone. They love to talk about roots and history. But what good is history if you're not building a better future? The funniest part? I heard through a mutual friend that they're talking about putting the house into some kind of trust so it can never be sold outside the family. That's not protecting the legacy. That's deliberately locking away millions so no one can benefit. And yes, I take that personally. It's basically a way to say, we'd rather bury our fortune in the ground than let Veronica touch it. It's not even about the commission anymore. It's the principle. I have busted my ass to build something for myself, and instead of working with me so we can all rise, they're content to wallow in their small-town bubble and pretend they're morally superior for doing it. The worst is Daniel. He's been in my DMs acting like the moral police, telling me I need to respect what the house means to the family. This is the same guy who lives in a cramped apartment above a hardware store and thinks it's quaint. I told him point blank, you wouldn't even be able to afford to buy this house if you weren't related to it. That shut him up. For a day. Honestly, I'm done playing nice. They want to see me as selfish? Fine. They can keep their creaky floors and their outdated furniture and their tiny lives. I'll get my million without them, and when I do, I'll be the one in the penthouse suite sipping champagne while they're clipping coupons at the grocery store. And maybe, years from now, when the house falls into disrepair and they can't afford to fix it, they'll remember that I offered them a golden ticket and they threw it back in my face. Update comments. It's not even about the commission anymore is hilarious, considering you literally reconnected with them because of the commission. You're not offering them a golden ticket. You're offering them a one-way ticket to losing the one thing they've built their entire lives around, so you can get a payout. That's not generosity. That's greed dressed up as charity. The way you talk about your brother living above a hardware store as if it's some tragic fate, meanwhile, he's surrounded by people who actually like him. You might have money one day, but you're going to be rich and alone. Your parents aren't keeping the house to spite you. They're keeping it because it's theirs, and they don't have to justify it to anyone, especially not a daughter who dropped them for not being ambitious enough. Every time you say, we could all rise, you mean I could rise, and you'd get dragged along as a side effect. Stop pretending it's selfless. Funny how you frame them as small-town people, when they're the ones who built a life and an asset that outvalues almost anything you've done so far. If that's mediocrity, I'd like a piece of it. You keep saying you'll be a millionaire without them. Then do it, quietly. The fact that you're still here ranting tells us you're mad because the easy millions slipped away.